And on the bottom right-hand side, the one matchup that may not be so easy for this man, it is from Ence's Serral. Reynor was saying in the lobby, Ben, that he wants to go bold now as well.
I'm not surprised, Cats. We really pull off this whole shindig. I was expecting you to come with a chin strap as well. I remember back in the day when the EG boys had their chin straps, then you grew a chin strap as well. But yeah.
I don't like that insinuation. You're saying that I grew a chin strap to match the EG boys, Ben?
Yeah. Like it was all the rage.
I will deny that insinuation.
But I like what you said, that Serral in this matchup in particular can look a little bit, a little bit human. But when you say this matchup, you of course mean against Reynor, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah, not against Zerg.
No, because like honestly, I remember for a long time people were like, Serral will never lose like a ZVZ against the Koreans, which so far he's actually shown to be pretty damn true. Like he beats everybody. I remember one of his last CVZ losses that really crippled me was against Su at Katowice when he was a bit like, that was over a year ago. But besides that, Reynor's been the one that really has kind of been splitting his skull a little bit, which is weird to be saying.
Yeah, it's not that weird for me, Ben. We were having this discussion actually yesterday. You were talking about just watching the games and enjoying. This is we were watching a few of the games with Ilyas, with Stefano and Elaser yesterday, and we were just watching in awe of how great these guys are, truly. But yeah, this is something that I was bringing up as well. I think that Serral and Reynor are very closely matched. But honestly, Reynor to me has been one of the most impressive prospects, up-and-comers, for a very long time. Like, I've always really liked the way that he plays. He's a more chaotic player, so I think I can relate a little bit more with him, whereas Serral is a much more organized player, much more like you. So I think you tend to see the greatness in Serral a little bit more so highlighted from that.
And yet we've both voted for the other person that you're talking about here, which is, that's one of the cool things, right? When you see your similarities in somebody, you also see the weaknesses. But like when we talk about the weaknesses of these two players, I don't really think they have many. And by the way, Serral, I wanted to talk about this. He didn't actually opt to get Zergling speed at all. He went for the very, very normal third hatch timing. But what do you make of this, going for such an early Roach Warren? This feels very non-Serral-esque to me.
Yeah, it's a more or less normal corner to cut. If he's gonna make enough links to basically contest the amount of links that Reynor could make on offense, then Reynor wouldn't have the chance to, say, morph a lot of banelings aggressively, or he might be anticipating that Reynor will not do that in the first place, and so he will get to basically skip one step in that baneling nest potentially. That said, though, he is producing already 4 roaches, but yeah, this just seems like a defensive setup.
Yeah, like one of the things that always strikes me very strongly when I watch Serral play is he always manages to get Zerglings in to scout you. Whereas this game, the fact that he didn't even go for Zergling speed at all, and he's obviously just skipped straight to roaches, he looks pretty solid defensively. He's not really being too crazy with the droning up too by getting the roaches out already. Like, it's unusual to me, and it makes me think that Serral's bringing a different style to this best of 5.
As he should, right? He's facing his kryptonite. So Serral is usually the type of player that is so methodical and so very solid that he doesn't lose to other players if he's just on top of his game. But I think against the likes of Reynor, if he wants to win, he's gonna have to cut corners. He's gonna have to play to the opponent. He's gonna have to say, these are the things that you're likely to do. These are the things that you're unlikely to do. I gotta play to that. And I think that's what we're seeing here. Here he does get a scan or a scout off someone with 2 slow circlings.
Yeah, over in the north base, just checking out how many drones are on that third base. Reynor is opting for the Spire, and I do like what you say about cutting corners, because Reynor has been a guy that infamously has been cutting corners against Serral, because Serral's so well studied, people knows his style, and against a guy, like, this is absolutely Iceman versus Maverick, right? Like, Serral plays by the book, Reynor, he throws out the rule book entirely, but it really feels... I don't know what's going to happen. Like, Reynor's opting for mutas here with the +1 melee, which is all really, really cool and difficult to play against. And we've seen how good he is with that kind of style, too.
Yeah, and he really hasn't made very many links on aggression or anything like that. So Serral is going to have to make something happen with these roaches, and he's going to have to make something happen relatively quickly. If this Mutas get out on the map, it's going to be extremely difficult for Serral to get back map control or get any use out of these roaches outside of something like a grand maneuver, like a Nidus worm going off unexpectedly or something like that. Okay, here we go. The roaches are crossing the map. So this is the Serral's one opening. He needs to make something happen. 4 spines on the way for Reynor.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, Reynor actually was going for his 4th base there, cancelled it very quickly because he knew what was happening to him. These roaches, they do have +1 now. Zerglings are kind of like trying to deal damage at the back there. The roaches are starting to get into bases though.
Yeah, you were saying it, Ben. I mean, this was Reynor cutting a lot of corners, and Serral is gonna find an excellent timing. I mean, if he moved 3 seconds later, I'm not sure I like the timing, but as it stands, he might just be able to equalize and do enough damage to stay in this game, because otherwise the Muta would have just closed it out, quite honestly. But we'll see just how much damage he can do. 12 workers have gone down at the expense of the entire Roach army. Okay, this is a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Serral, he's only at 51 drones while all this was going on. Reynor went up to about 70, but Reynor's taking significant losses. Yeah, the Muta count's getting really high, but Serral, he's not taking any damage at home. And the Roaches, they're not stopping at all. Look at that red line just going across the map. Loads and loads of the Roaches joining.
Yeah, I mean, the Muta count is not really going too much higher up for Reynor, but he does have a decent number. As long as he can retain these drones and maybe keep the natural base intact. I love what Serral is doing, moving the roaches away from the roaches in the natural so that they can take down the Spire. This would be a huge pickoff. And yeah, I think this might be enough damage that Serral is going to find himself in a very comfortable position, especially after taking the 3rd as well.
Yeah, and GG is called. Serral takes the first map in pretty non-Serral-esque fashion, which super cool to see him do something different. And I hate to say it, but like, or when I say I hate to say it, I love to say it. Serral actually caught Reynor off guard. This is like a massive flip of the coin here in terms of playstyles.
Yeah, I would say so. And it's kind of what you were talking about. It was Reynor cutting corners a little bit too harshly, perhaps, right? Against a Serral that's not usually that aggressive. And Serral punishing without that much information. I mean, what information did he have? He had the information of the drones at the 3rd and his opponent's tendencies, more or less, right? And the fact that there's a lot of links out on the map as opposed to, say, roaches or something like that. And then the links pull back defensively, and that's Serral's go time. So yeah, I love that. Again, like 3-5 seconds later, I think the Mutas are out, and it's a much more difficult attack to make happen.
The Mutas would be out, the Spines would be up, the Lings with +1 would have been done as well. And I mean, obviously the Lings would get 2-shot, but all these little things help so much. And like Serral, if he has had one weakness or one thing that he's been very vocal about, it's the fact that he doesn't like playing against Mutas. So the fact that he can kind of, well, he's just shown that he can kill the game before the Mutas actually become a problem. That's already going to be a little bit worrisome for Reynor, because Serral, he's prepped for this, man. Like your fire, your motivation might be greater than ever, but you are still against one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, and I mean, this is what I was saying. This is why I picked Serral. I am picking Serral honestly because at this point he's lost like the last 3 times against Reynor. They have all been great matches. Most of them have gone down to the wire, but Reynor has been winning consistently against Serral. So I think at this point, I'm not sure who's, like, as far as winning the tournament, maybe Serral's had enough winning the tournament, but as far as winning this match, I mean, I think he wants it, perhaps more than ever.
Yeah, I think to both of these guys, actually, I think winning this match between these two, given that they are turning into really good rivalries, or it's a really good rivalry, winning this is almost more important than winning the tournament, I feel. Just because if Serral lets this youngster beat him again, are people going to start doubting, like, who's the greatest kind of thing? And they absolutely should, because Reynor, if he does beat him again, like, that would be 4 times in a row, and potentially his 2nd DreamHack in a row. Like, they're both so incredibly good. And the crazy thing about tonight's stream is the winner of this match goes up against Clem, who's waiting. It's just crazy, man. It's crazy.
And the way he looked yesterday, oh my God, that is, the finals is going to be another one to look forward to. But this one is, it already feels like a finals. We are joining the next map. It's going to be Ice and Chrome. It's a large macro map. Let's see what it holds in store for us.
Yeah, every map of this, I'm going to be really, really excited. Spawning over in the top right-hand side, playing as the Blue Zerg, it is Clash's Reynor.
In the bottom left-hand side as the red Zerg player, it is NCES Serral.
That was...
Yeah,
that music was like where you die in like a platform game, and it's like, oh, no, 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 no. And then you reset, you know? It's kind of weird showing that when Serral's the guy that's 1-0 up right now.
Yeah, I mean, it should show that music to all of his opponents instead.
Absolutely, absolutely. This just reminds me when, like, this is a long time ago, back in NASL days where people got to choose their own intro music and stuff. And I remember, like, telling Greg, I was like, Greg, you have to pick, like, the Imperial March, like the Star Wars, the Darth Vader music. And he was like, hell no. But then he picked some freaking, in fact, who's that? Skrillex music. And I was like, God damn it, Greg.
Classic Greg. I still have a dubstep, Idra dubstep playlist on Spotify. It was made by Moose Gills, if you remember him, but it was approved by Idra himself on Twitter. So it's only like 4 songs. I like it.
4 songs. Yeah. Okay, so this map in particular, like this is one that, you know, the Terrans like. In fact, I don't think any race dislikes this map. I think overall it's definitely one of the more standard, but it doesn't really hold that, oh my God, this is so abusable in this. But when it comes to ZVZ, what are some things that you think we should be looking out for between these two?
It's so difficult to say because when it comes down to these two, they really play to each other so much that it's difficult to say. We saw Reynor going Mutas on Submarine yesterday, which is the last map that I would ever think a Muta switch should or could work on. But on this map, I would think Mutas are great because it's a very long map, right? So Lings are probably gonna be favorable over Roaches. I wouldn't be surprised if we see somewhat of an extension of the early and mid game because the thirds are kind of far away, so you can kind of have some Lingbane fights in those areas. These are kind of the more normal, I guess, things that you could draw from a large map like this.
So one thing very early to note is both these players are going for Ling speed this game, and you know the openings are almost symmetrical between them. We'll see these builds very, very lined out as to where they're going. We'll get to see if they're going for Baneling Nests early on. Baneling Nests aren't always about aggression. It's about being defensive as well. Banelings can obviously one-shot Lings and what have you. And yeah, so far, absolutely mirrored builds between these guys.
Yeah, and this is super unsurprising, right? Lings are super fast. So again, like the mid and early stages of the game might be a little bit extended just because Lings are so very powerful. In a very long map like this, it's Serral trying to get some information unsuccessfully this time around. But yeah, like you said, this is as standard as it gets, Ben. So we'll see who goes for the first punch here.
Yeah, and like Zerg builds for a long time. I remember people asking like, oh, is it, do you do the extractor trick or not? Like, which one's actually more beneficial? Zergs have got things so ironed out as to how you should go about things. So these Lings, they're always going to be looking and trying to scout and find out what exactly is going on. So Serral, upon seeing that little group of Lings there, he immediately morphs some Banelings at home, I do believe, just to be careful, just to respect his opponent, because it's a very, very fine balance. Even cancelling one of the Banelings there upon seeing that it's nothing too much to worry about. Whoa, Serral's the one going for melee upgrades, and Reynor's the one going for ranged. This is cool.
All right, yeah, this is very cool and kind of uncharacteristic. If you saw the production tab and you asked me who's who, I would say Reynor, definitely with a +1 melee, maybe into lurkers or something crazy, but it's Serral this time around. So +1 melee is really good against Roaches, but like you were pointing out, once the Roaches do have that +1 range, they are gonna start two-shotting the Zerglings regardless. So it's gonna be interesting to see. I still do very much like the +1 melee because it's a further commitment to Lings, and I was just talking about why I think Lings are so very strong on this map, and you know it could potentially lean itself towards a Muta transition. We've seen Serral do those in the past. He was actually unsuccessful at BlizzCon with Muta play that looked like he was gonna win against Reynor, and then that game was kind of a little bit of a throw. So I haven't seen him Muta much more since, but I would love to see it this game.
That I remember the game you're on about, because Serral was winning for like 90% of it, but then seemingly stayed on it for too long, and then went to ultras against the lurkers. Yeah, that was a heartbreaking game. But It's so lovely to see how much Serral's been scouting this game. And I know he's super duper known for it and doing it so well, and also denying the scouting. So he sent Lings in the base of Reynor, got to see how many gases were going up. Didn't get to the main though. But yeah, he's the one going for a Spire right now. And Reynor, he hasn't really got to see too much. Now he gets an Overseer in, which is actually deflected by the Queens thus far. Does he know what he's up against?
The biggest tell is the lack of roaches, but there is a roach warren in the front. So as if Serral can hide his army, as silly as that sounds, then that's one of the better things that he can do. And taking a fourth is also a very I'm not going Muta type move, right? Because it's very risky, very, very greedy at this point. So he's kind of flipping the script, like you were saying, on Reynor. He's pulling the tricks and kind of cutting all the corners, whereas that's Reynor that normally tries and plays those games. So I'm loving what I'm seeing from Serral. It's definitely a different Serral today than even yesterday.
It's mind gaming, and it's also respecting the fact that he knows his opponent's super good, right? Because if you took that early of a fourth and your opponent just went for like a roach timing, you'd be dead. But the fact that he knows his opponent knows that he's good and a normal roach timing wouldn't be working. But then he threw down the fourth to be like, yeah, if I get this fourth up, that's great. I'll be on 4 base Muta. It just everything that Serral's doing right now is absolutely beautiful. And 2 infestation pits going down for Reynor. Lots of spores, but 14 mutas. So Reynor might be feeling the pressure just a little bit here, but he is going for the right stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So Reynor is gonna be trying to kind of lengthen the game as much as he can, and we might be seeing somewhat of a rematch from that very BlizzCon match that we were talking about, right? It's a very similar setup in this particular game, and it's this time around Serral that's gonna get the map control and presumably attempt at a snowball here with his Muta. Reynor is already very well set up defensively. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this game progresses. Reynor is very fast at transitioning already. Wow.
I think Reynor's been handled, like, even though I've been giving credit, that is a lot of Lings getting into the natural and the main though. And the Mutas are at the 4th base as well, so lots of Queens will be falling and drones as well.
Yeah, and these Lings do have +1, so they are as effective as they can be at killing little drones and whatnot. The Mutas are trying to do what they can. They have identified a weakness potentially in the main, maybe wanting to snipe that 1 Queen. Instead, they're gonna find themselves 3 drones transferring, and at least he will get to spot everything that's going on. Now, important to note is what Serral is continuing to do here in continuing to produce those Mutalisks and continuing to commit further into the ground upgrades. So we are indeed seeing somewhat of a regame on a different map, different setup, and I would argue even harder to make work on the side of Serral compared to that BlizzCon match where he's kind of overcommitting, perhaps. I'm not sure. Well, it's not an overcommitment if it wins him the game. If it wins him the game, that's what he's looking for.
I'm seeing some beautiful things out of both of them. So Serral is taking a 5th behind this, and he also made a lot of drones behind this, so he is ahead economically. Oh, Banelings! They do get into the 4th base here. Despite the lurkers, the Banelings get a lot of kills. That wasn't meant to happen. Reynor actually built a wall there to deflect it, but Serral distracted with one hand and went in with the other.
Yeah, only a couple of transfuses available here, so this hatch will not be saved no matter what. And this is an excellent position for Serral, who is this time around transitioning a little bit better than back then. He already has an infestation pit in place, so would love to see him start a hive or whatever he's gonna start. Lurkers are now in place, and this is where it started going south last time, right? Like, those Lurkers are so very good at deflecting, in particular, Baneling aggression. Look at this, so methodical by Serral, trying to get rid of some of those evils to make way for the Banelings on that side.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. Like, it was really good to build a wall. I love how creative Zergs are being these days with just utilizing buildings and stuff. And parasitic bomb! Oh! That's a big parasitic bomb! Reddit? Okay, it wasn't as good as the Reddit split, but that was nice defense by Reynor, to be fair to him.
No, that was brilliant by Reynor. I mean, Serral goes in thinking that he killed one of the Lurkers, but the Lurker got transfused. That Lurker gets another shot onto all of the Banelings, and basically they all collapse, they all die, right? So it's the kind of thing where you're very zoned in the game, and you kind of like do these maneuvers, and you think, okay, like, I can get through, and all of a sudden the Lurker doesn't die. Like, that transfuse was so clutch. And then the parasitic bomb at the same time to make it so that the Mutas couldn't further insist on killing those Lurkers. And oh man, this is not good for Serral.
Oh, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of lurkers alive. In fact, there was just 3, and they were all at that base waiting for those banelings. And Reynor, he's re-establishing that wall. The Queens did a real good job tanking, but Serral, he's just making way more banelings. I'm getting a little bit more scared as time goes by for him, though.
Yeah, I really wish he didn't. I mean, it's so difficult to continue to come to this composition when his opponent already has Lurkers, the hard counter to Banelings, and Vipers, the hard counter to Muta. So now we see a little bit of a transition as well on the side of Serral, who is now going for his own Lurker Hydras, and is going to continue to deny the economy. This is perfect. This is the move that he needs. Mind you, he is behind this on 5 bases. Not taking down that 4th was what was hurting him perhaps the most. Now I feel a little bit more confident for him again.
Yeah, he's just trying to find the 2 weak spots. It's very hard to attack on this map. Ice and Chrome, it's very, very defensive. But now we see that Serral, behind all this, despite being so goddamn aggressive, he is up to Lurker tech of his own, and he's also focusing on the range upgrades and stuff for his ground units, getting the Hydras out, got the Vipers out as well. And if there's one thing Serral does so well, it's Viper versus Viper micro. Oh, yeah, is he going to split? Oh, he's so good at these splits, man.
Yeah, of course, he's the best. And yeah, to your point, I mean, he is the king of the late game as well, right? So when it does get to those stages, Serral can definitely stabilize. And I say stabilize, but really economically, he's doing fantastic throughout this entire game, right? Like, I mean, he has wasted quite a few banelings onto the base on the right-hand side of the map. But otherwise, the game seems to be going pretty well for Serral.
Those are some cool-looking Hydralisks, by the way.
Those are the
new
Brood War
skins?
ones? I think they're the Brood War Hydralisks.
Oh, they are really, really damn cool. Yeah. They are the Brood War Hydras. They look really cool. But okay, so Reynor, he's trying to expand more. Serral is up to 6 bases now. He's catching up on upgrades as well. I mean, Reynor's doing super well on the upgrade front.
Oh!
That is some... Okay, the Banelings didn't get the connections. Wow, so much Reynor!
Around though.
Yeah, he's
what an
flanking from the
incredible
bottom side.
I didn't even know he had any roaches at all. So that is amazing. Reynor just shows up with such a great surround, and that is in part due to this Muta, right? A lot of the supply is tied into this Muta, and they are gonna struggle to make anything happen. It's also the upgrades. I believe that the upgrades are highly in favor of Reynor at this point. So Serral really has some catching up to do in that front. I'm a little bit surprised at the move out as he is getting his upgrades situated and the lurkers situated, so applying a little bit more pressure than maybe he is that he can handle right now. This Muta are also gonna start falling, and now it's Reynor on the offense. Oh man.
Okay, but Reynor did use all his Viper energy. Oh, does he have an overseer here? Okay, he does. Yoinks all the Viper or Lurkers out of the floor. Does take most of them out with his Vipers, so that was useful, but Reynor's doing so much damage, taking out the 5th base of Serral. Luckily, he does have the whole left side to work with, but this is a lot of big damage by Reynor.
Yeah, absolutely. The Vipers and the Lurkers are gonna hold the position now for Serral. But yeah, the game economically has more or less evened out from this, where Serral had an advantage in that front, and that puts the advantage overall on the side of Reynor, because he does have much better upgrades than Serral at this point in time.
He certainly does. What's the lurker count at? It's 4 for Serral, 1 for Reynor, so that does allow a little bit of a positional moving. By the way, Reynor only just now got adaptive Talon, so maybe that kind of made it a bit harder for him to move around and actually land on the assault there.
Yeah, that might have been an oversight because that has been up for so long, and he's definitely had the bang. Now Serral on the move out here. It's this Viper control that's gonna be very important. The Viper count also very important, and it's gonna be favoring Reynor by 2 at the moment. They also have more energy to work with, and on defense, of course, they can continue to replenish themselves.
So the Mutas are out of the picture right now, which does allow Reynor a little bit of breathing room, but that is still a very scary Serral army. And now, the Ducks over the Hydras. The Lurkers do get blinding clouded, but Serral took a really damn good fight there against Reynor.
Yeah, seizing a moment excellently. I'm not sure it's... look. There's a changeling. Actually, that's Reynor's changeling. I'm not sure how Serral exactly got situated. It might have been just with the heads up of the watchtower, but he saw Reynor walking into him, and he just, abducted as fast as possible while Reynor was not looking. So, yeah, they are really, really trying to, catch each other as much as they can.
Yeah, and like look at the meandering around the map. Like Serral's actually split off his army in 2 parts here. Lurker's getting on the top base of Reynor. This is one of his newest, freshest bases. So this is really, really problematic. To take this out, he does need Vipers with Blinding Cloud, but the base is gone. Nice abducts by Reynor. Doesn't go home without any losses.
Yeah, it's such a risky maneuver as well because lurkers are not super fast at killing those bases. And if they are exposed without any army to back them up, they can really fall quickly. So I'm surprised Serral went for that, but it ends up working out. At the same time, he was moving with his army on the other side of the map. So if Reynor overcommitted, he was ready to pounce onto one of the south bases of Reynor. Okay, let's see. These lurkers again potentially trying to get the army off position, but they catch wind of the Vipers. That would be too easy for Reynor to take down. So Serral will have to back another great set of abducts.
Yeah, like Reynor, he kind of saw the army coming too with the watchtower, at least maybe saw a little bit, but he was kind of distracted by those lurkers on the bottom side there, which he is going to deflect. But Serral, man, these players are so quick. They're handling and juggling 2 armies at the same time.
Indeed. And now Serral with excellent blinding clouds and getting the pulse again. I think you're super right, Ben. On point is Serral with those abducts, and where there was a Viper lead at some point for Reynor, it's vanished down to 1 Viper to the 7 of Serral. He has not lost very many in these exchanges.
He hasn't, but Reynor, he's got way more Hydra. He's got a lot of firepower.
No lurkers. Yeah, there's no lurkers here defensively for Serral, and you don't want to take that fight. He doesn't even have the blinding cloud or anything. Now comes the lurker flank, but it's only 2 of them. And Reynor taking a brilliant engagement here just off of sheer numbers.
Yeah, and drones are falling for Serral. There is a lurker just on his own. Does get taken out by this little group of Hydras, but Reynor busting this middle base. Oh dear, there's so much chaos and action. Reynor's doing a really good job of pushing 2 bases, but Serral does surround and swallow up this army entirely. Reynor trying to pick off as many Vipers with those dying Hydras as he can. He does a good job of it, but in the meantime, he's also taken out this bottom base, and wow, Reynor's putting on so much pressure with just a low-tier army here.
Yeah, absolutely. He identifies that the army of Serral is preoccupied, but Serral at the same time is not going to let him have it for free. So he has moved inconspicuously across the map. I believe Reynor has not spotted it. Now he will. I'm not sure that Serral wants to stop for this base too much. He should be moving on to the more important position, because now that base that was basically a decoy has bought Reynor time to reposition onto the important mining base here.
It certainly was a decoy. Like, it bought him so much time, and now he's here, prepared and ready. And when he's got that many spore crawlers, you might be wondering, what are they for? Well, if you abduct the Vipers into them, it's great, but more importantly, vision for the lurkers if you are to go up against them. Both of them are re-establishing their lurker counts, and Serral's going to be up to 10 pretty soon. Reynor going up to 8 by the looks of it.
Yeah, it's vision for the lurkers, and it's also vision against the lurkers in a certain sense. It's more like zoning out the overseers also, right? You have to respect those spores. You can't just run into lurkers and their spores very easily. There has to be a lot of Viper work done with blinding clouds or abducts onto those lurkers prior. Huge armies here.
It's got to be said, Serral's finding it much harder to deal damage, whereas Reynor's just kind of bouncing from base to base, just taken out. And look here, he's just going to kill this re-establishing hatchery over here. And Serral, he's going for these... He's going for these peripheral bases and stuff, and he's going to be getting damaged in at the south one. He takes out the north one again. Is this going to turn into a crazy base trade between these two?
Yes, sir. It already has begun. There's no way around it, because Serral's only move right now is to do damage on the other side of the map. He's losing too much on his side. He cannot stop. He has to continue to go. He has to find the openings, and this is where it gets dire. But Reynor is so well situated on this base. Serral has to find a different angle of attack, but he has to continue to move with this army.
Oh, this isn't good, though. Lurkers at the top of the ramp in Serral's main base here. The hive under threat, all the tech under threat as well. Did he just... That was one of the saddest roaches ever. Just got shot by all those lurkers. But right now... Oh, Serral's moving into a lot of lurkers here. The blinding cloud does eventually go down, but that was quite a lot of damage being done. Both of them have such big armies, but neither one of them is even bothering to defend almost. It's just carnage.
Yeah, you really can't. The best defense is stuff like what just happened with the lurkers, where they can do a lot of damage inconspicuously out of nowhere. But otherwise, it's so difficult to engage onto these positions as they are taken, right? So both players in dire straits. But I gotta say, it looks a little bit better for Reynor, at least on the map.
It does, but he did just lose all his overlords, which is a big deal. Big blinding clouds from both these players. Did Serral just make?
Wow.
In fact,
Magic?
I don't know who's winning this anymore. Serral's still got 7 lurkers against 2.
There is no amount of commentary that can do a game between these two servers because there's so much stuff going on at all points in time, and they are just, you know, quite possibly the best 2 players in the world. This is just such a treat to watch. So let's just see this situation unfolds, Ben, because I have no idea.
And like, look at the numbers as well. Both on 40 workers at this point, both within 10 supply of one another. The army counts as well, very, very close. Serral does have a much higher Hydra count, and he does have higher lurker count as well. The thing is, I feel that you're always more comfortable when you're in Reynor's position when you didn't lose the hive, and you can keep on remaking those Vipers, given that Serral can't anymore.
Yeah, it's super important for Serral that he gets this blinding clouds going. It's also important for him to identify if he is ahead economically. So it's important to perhaps kill this peripheral base and then situate himself in a position where I really don't know if he should be here without having full energy on all of his Vipers, because it's so important at this point. Like, the blinding clouds it's what it's gonna come down to. Without blinding clouds, I almost like Reynor's army a little bit better because the roaches are super strong. That said, Serral is adding roaches of his own, and it's good abduct this time on the side of Reynor. And most of the Vipers of Serral go down, only 2 remaining on either side. Actually, there's 4 on the side of Reynor, not all here though.
That was crazy. Like, those lurkers, as soon as they burrow, the army just evaporates. And Reynor, he's still on just 2 lurkers, and he's having to play so defensive with them. Oh, drones are falling somewhere. Okay, they're just evacuating to the other side of the map. Oh, the lurkers of Reynor actually fell. Those were his last lurkers.
That is really rough. It's really the Vipers that it's gonna come down to though. And Reynor feels pressure to make something happen right now. He's gonna cross with the roaches. Maybe set up a flank now is a better idea, but the Vipers are gonna get abducted as well as 2 lurkers. Okay, this is not undoable. I mean, it's mostly Hydras. There's not much of a meat shield. I'm a little bit surprised that Reynor's not setting a concave though. Or at least a full surround, but it's so very difficult in the position that Serral is, especially with the watchtower and the fact that he would have to go through one of Serral's bases to do that. Of course, Serral knows all this, which is why his army is there in the first place.
I think Reynor's actually trying to act strong when he's a bit weak, you know? Because, if the lurkers...
Here it comes. He's heading... I think he's setting up the surround. No, he's going around now. This is a position where he can get surrounded, though. That's where the army of Reynor could thrive, even over these lurkers. But if Reynor attacks head-on to the lurkers, Ben, there's just no chance for him. I feel like Serral's army is so much stronger at this point.
I mean, it is. It really is. Like, I know the blinding clouds can work absolute wonders, but okay, Serral now finds this kind of cheeky hidden base in the bottom right side as well. The thing for Reynor, I think he has to play so patient and just keep on picking off the lurkers, because that's the one big disadvantage. He's going exactly for that.
Yeah, that was brilliant. With the blinding clouds as well, to avoid retaliation. That was brilliant. Exactly what you were talking about, Ben. That's exactly what he needs to do. With those lurkers in play, he is not going to be able to take effective engagements, but have they all gone down? 1 remains.
And where is that 1 lurker? I mean, that was the one real advantage that Serral had, and now... like, Reynor did the one thing that he absolutely had to do. Oh no! That's the last lurker! That's the last lurker!
No, it's the last one! Oh, he will go down and set him. Oh, what?
Okay.
Reynor's gonna go down and kill it. These guys are gonna give me a heart attack, Ben. Now the armies have reset back to the Stone Age. I'm not sure how this happened. At some point, this was a late game. We are now back in the mid game somehow between these two. There is 2 Vipers remaining. They're basically like crocodiles.
Reynor's coming in from 2 angles here, getting a little bit of a sandwich trying to be made. And wait, he's blocking with the chain link.
Yeah,
chain block.
Right.
GG.
Wait, what? Oh.
Wait, did you think
was that all of the army of Serral remaining?
Pretty much, yeah. He was down to like 90 supply against like 160 or something.
We must have missed a little bit of something there towards the end, but wow. What a brawl.
Truly a brawl. Like, you know, you said something, and it made me think both these guys must have been training at Cobra Kai, you know? Because, like, the best defense, Cats, is even more offense, you know? And that's exactly what both these guys did. Like, they were losing bases left, right, and center. It was just really darn cool between them.
Yeah, really no mercy showing and shining through as well. So, That is indeed very exciting. Are we gonna jump into the third game here, or are we going on a break? I am not sure, so I would like to. Okay, all right. So we are gonna be going into a quick break, and when we get back, more of that.
Hello guys, and welcome back to the DreamHack European lower bracket finals. And these two names, you don't often find them in lower brackets, cats. It's Serral up against Reynor, and just like always between these two, they're already 1-1. It's neck and neck, and we're going into the third game now, which will be appearing on Eternal Empire.
Rotterdam's Eternal Palace.
Rotterdam's Eternal Palace, mate. Certainly is. You know, I saw him. He was immediate to defend himself in all the Twitch chats. He's like, "No, it's not me that says that. It's not me." Totally is. Not believe his lies.
I'm not sure, Ben. I was inclined to believe you, but then the other day I heard you call. Was it Ever Dream? No, Ice and Chrome.
Ice and Chrome.
Ice and Dream, you called it.
Yeah,
what
what can I say? I'm a boomer these days, man. I get my map names mixed up and what have you. But you guys know what I'm on about. Okay, guys, spawning in the top right-hand side, playing for Team Ent, it is Serral.
And in the bottom left, it is Reynor for Clap. So, Ben, I actually have a question. I thought this might be insensitive to ask before, but now that we are both bold, I think I can. So, when you're bald, your head in a certain way becomes a part of your face, right? Like when you wash your face is my question, because I was washing my face, okay, today, like I was putting soap on my face in the shower, and then I realized that I could also put soap on my head, and then I thought, wait, which part is the face? Like, is your head part of your face?
Well, the thing is, Cats, if you really want to think about it technically, your forehead kind of goes all the way down to your ass. If you really, really think about it. Like, it doesn't really have to stop, if you don't want it to.
Indeed.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm glad we got to talk about this one.
Yes, indeed. All whilst the early game is developing between these two, on a very standard map, it is a mirror, as you would expect. And yeah, we probably just have a 16 hatchery on either side, followed by gases and pools. So nothing out of the ordinary here on Eternal Palace.
Yeah, like this map is absolutely one of the more defensive maps. Like, trying to kind of rely on Lingbane run-bys later on, it's tough. Getting 3 bases situated is very nice and easy to do. And so it's one of the more calmer maps, and one of the maps, if you're truly a vet out there, like a true veteran, this is where you really test yourselves against somebody else in like a true macro game, because it's large, it's easy to get 3 bases up and running, and then the choices are endless, like which 4th base you take, which 5th and 6th. It's actually a really, really nice stable map.
Yeah. There is our difference in approach shining as well again, right? It's a shame you weren't here, because in the map section, Sue asked me which are my 2 favorite maps. And I said, or which is my favorite map? And I said my 2 favorites are actually Golden Wall and Submarine. And this would probably be my least favorite, going by the same logic, which is why I imagine it's just about your favorite, right? We are truly yin yang in outfits and mindsets, I think.
Maybe, which is we're yin yang in ideologies, we're yin yang in outfits and stuff, like we're different colors. But yeah, I'm looking forward to see how this dukes out. I actually think Ice and Chrome might be my favorite, but that's also like very, very defensive and cool.
And cool.
Yeah.
All right. I think aggressive and cool is the thing.
It's icy, mate. It's icy.
That is true. All right, so we have +1 Carapace, actually. Here's the first deviation, and it's going to be on the side of Reynor. So anticipating that there's going to be an extended, perhaps, Lingbane phase. Now, the cool thing about Carapace compared to the Midi, for example, is that it is still open to be potentially Muta, but most likely is going to transition into something like Roaches, because it can, and because the Roaches do benefit from that Carapace, especially against Zerglings later on. So interesting here from Reynor, who hasn't taken, by the way, a Baneling Nest, and that's kind of playing the opponent as well to a certain degree. If Serral was the person that comes to mind is Mini Racer from 10 years ago, but if Serral was hyper aggressive and just did a 2 or 3 base all-in Lingbane, it would be extremely difficult for Reynor.
Yeah, the +1 melee, it also allows those follow-ups with like potential Roach, Ravager, Ling all-ins, right? Like, I'm not saying that's definitely going to be done, but there's a potential to switch into that. So that's also kind of cool. And right now they're both just trying to get to grips with one another, see what's actually going on, trying to count the drones at each base. You tend to find, or rather, I get asked, like, okay, why do Zergs take the gases on their, like, more scoutable bases? Well, if you scout, like, a natural with 2 gases at it, it doesn't indicate how many gases are in the main still. So if you're in Reynor's position or Serral, that's always the last one that you take, unless there's some crazy mind games going on. But it's all about deceiving your opponent. So taking the ones that are easier to scout first, you can potentially throw your opponent off a little bit, which is what Reynor's trying to do here.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. I mean, if you think about it otherwise, it's actually a deterrent to do that, because your main will be saturated first, which means the drones actually have less travel time to saturate the gases in your main. So you're absolutely right. This is entirely for the seed. They want their opponents to be considering options that are not going to happen, right? Like maybe they think Mutas are abound, when they're not, that could be important information. With that said, it's Serral once again going for the mutas, and it's been spotted.
Yeah, this time it's actually been spotted, like, way before the Spire's finished kind of thing, which is nice for Reynor. The Zerglings do have +1 armor, so they don't get one-shot by the Banes, and Serral, whether he... Oh, by the way, this micro for that one Bane was really, really cool. The Zerglings won't be able to get the cancel on this hatchery, but Serral, on the other side of the map, will he be able to get the cancel? Most likely not. So very much a very similar game by both of them. By the way, Serral's actually going up to +2 missiles as well, like very, very quickly, so not utilizing all his gas on the mutas so far.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a small muta switch. If Reynor was to attack into this, Serral would want to have the capacity to basically make as many roaches as he needs to defend it. And that's kind of what we're going to see here. It's going to be Reynor attempting at hitting Serral before the mutas are out, as soon as his +1 and his speed are hitting. Actually, even before his +1, because he maybe anticipates that he can't get there in time. But now the mutas are out, Serral is going to have to kite back, and Reynor might be able to do a little bit of damage, though probably not too much with his roaches.
I think Serral's handled this beautifully, honestly. Like, if he went a full commitment to the mutas, he'd have potentially died. But the fact that he's kind of holding on here, if he loses this 4th hatch, it is a big deal. But he's just spamming out so many roaches that I'm kind of worried about Reynor with the counterattack, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is really looking bad for Reynor. This is
he's going
brilliant
for his
by
own
Serral because
Spire.
he gets... Yeah, that is what I was going wow about. It's because Reynor, if he wins this game, 1,000,000 IQ, dropping a Spire when Serral went for a Spire, because he's identified basically that Serral is gonna switch from that Spire onto roaches, right? Like what you were talking about with the upgrade, only he doesn't have all the information that we have potentially, just the numbers on the board as he sees them, right? So if Reynor is able to deflect this, there could be a turning point where he actually gets more mutas than Serral, which is just the next level play.
And he's starting to make them. Like, he really is. And, you know, very often it's like, okay, is it possible to go mutas when your opponent's already gone mutas? And very often the answer is no, because you're forever playing catch-up. But this is truly, like, they're both manipulating one another, and I don't know who's going to come out ahead. Like, if Reynor can survive and catch Serral totally off guard, then he can take a monumental lead.
This will be one of the most impressive calls I will have ever seen in StarCraft, and it might just work. Is the crazy thing. I mean, the speed at which he dropped the Spire, that is to say, the speed at which he identified Serral's not committing to this, was outstanding. And now it's Serral on the offense. He's gonna see the muta, so this is a little bit problematic. I mean, he's gonna have to kite back Reynor. That is, he cannot stand and fight this army of Serral. He has to wait until he's closest to his hatcheries, until they are being threatened, until the drones are being threatened. But now the army has dwindled so much, and it seems like Serral's gonna find a little bit of damage at least.
Getting a little bit of economic damage, he even ran in Banelings or something at that 3rd base. His mutas are keeping alive, and he's actually making the big switch to getting Corruptors out now to deal with everything. He did reestablish his 4th base as well behind all this, but oh man, what a...
Corruptors are brilliant here, I gotta say. It's I mean, these guys are just brilliant all the time. Like, I'm not sure if I have to preface how brilliant every one of their maneuvers is, but Corruptors is so smart because they actually trade gas for gas very efficiently against the muta, but not in these numbers. The mutas of Reynor are gonna pounce onto the Corruptors, and they're gonna get rid of most of them before the Spore can come to aid. Now repositioning to avoid that Spore has gotten rid of a lot of them, and I'm curious to see Reynor. It looks like he's gonna continue to commit to mutas and not at Corruptors of his own. But yeah, as I was saying, Ben, I think it's so amazing the call for the Corruptors, because gas for gas, they do amazing. Wow, just I don't even.
As amazing as what Reynor's doing, and like both of them, the fact that Serral had the gall to stay on Reynor's side of the map with the mutas, knowing that he can't really fight them with his own mutas, amazing play by him. So he slowed down Reynor a lot while deflecting at home.
And he finds the opening, and these are openings that he has carved for himself. He had the roaches in that base earlier, so he knows there's no Spore there, right? It all comes together, and it's so brilliant. And again, the Corruptors are so great because Serral did do a little bit of economic damage. That means that he's gonna have more mineral income. And like I was saying, gas for gas, Corruptors trade extremely efficiently against muta. It's something like it takes like something like 20 Corruptors to be 30 muta, more or less. So the downside is obviously the extra expenditure in minerals, because they do cost 50 more minerals each. But that's fine if you have the economic lead.
Yeah, I mean, like, going for the more expensive units, Serral's still got a little bit of a supply lead here. His roaches as well, are they better upgraded? It's 2-0 against 1-1, which, you know, you could give that a slight edge to the roaches, I guess, if it comes down to just that. Reynor just holding down the Muta key. Serral looks like he's getting ready to absolutely swing his massive hammer soon.
And it's massive. Oh, these mutas are gonna get caught so early though, and that's gonna allow Reynor also to reposition and help with the brunt of his muta. Well, we're gonna have to see if that's enough. That is so many corruptors. Reynor might just want to go on the counter offense instead, or just focus fire the roaches and completely ignore the corruptors perhaps.
Oh my god! I
don't know. I like this fight for Reynor.
He's stutter stepping his freaking corruptors here, Cats, and Serral, there's so much of him. The Overlord farm is here too. And Serral, look at this micro. He's using the fact that they have a slower attack to just kind of kite away, and Reynor's trying to stay on him as well. Stutter stepping aggressively and defensively, but Reynor, while all this is going on, he's losing his drones, he's losing the fourth base with the roaches. This is crazy play by both these guys.
This is so insane, Ben. I mean, we could watch this game and break it down for ages. I feel like maybe there was a little bit of a lack of that next step transition for Reynor. I'm not gonna pretend to know better or to know like what it is. Maybe something like Hydras, or maybe matching the corruptor numbers or something of the sort. In any case, that was insane.
That was super insane. I am very impressed by both of them, because let's be real, they're both doing slightly off meta stuff, absolutely playing their opponent. And I did you watch Serral's brief stream that he did a few days ago? Because he actually got to play against Reynor on that stream. It was where the clip came from Reddit and stuff with all the mutas and what have you. And they're both obviously respecting each other so much, but you also have to know that if you're selling something, your opponent has to know how good you have to know how good your opponent is for this to work. Because if he's not on the same wavelength, or he's like on a different page, it could just be kind of like
you trick yourself.
Yeah, you trick yourself, and like the mind games don't work. But they're both reacting to everything the other person's doing beautifully, and then kind of making slight adjustments with the fact that they know what their opponent's trying to sell and is selling. And it's just beautiful to see ZVZ at this level, because I know a lot of people can be like, oh, there's roaches in this game, but there was way more going on. And not only are these guys like mechanically super duper gifted, it's very obvious they're very, very intelligent when it comes to StarCraft 2 as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that Spire by Reynor, that was so gutsy, that was so brilliant. It's like you said, it's, you know, if you were to write a book of rules of StarCraft 2 and a book of rules of CVC, you would probably put, you know, if your opponent's already going muta, don't go muta. That would be a thing, right? But identifying that your opponent's not committing to those muta, probably by scouting the Evo Chamber a second time or something. I mean, these players are really plugged into the game, right? But somehow he catches wind of the fact that Serral doesn't plan on making more than 5 or so muta, and drops down that Spire. That was so great. And the Corruptor transition from Serral identifying that he has more minerals is just all too great. We are now in the next game, so we will not keep you waiting. Let's jump into it and get this series going. It will be here on Pillars of Gold.
And spawning in the top right of Pillars of Gold, as our red Zerg player, it is Serral.
Do you say Pillars and Gold, Ben?
I may have messed it up a little bit, Cats, but I'm hyped. I'm pumped. Like, what the hell's going on?
And in the bottom left-hand side for Clash, it's Reynor.
You know, very soon I'm just going to start creating my own map names for these maps, and it's going to become a game in itself as to what is Benny going to say today. Okay, Pillars of Gold, though. So what maps did they actually veto out? Was it like Submarine and Golden Wall between them, potentially?
Oh, I hope not. I actually didn't see, but I really hope not. We'll have to wait and check.
Because, like, Serral's absolutely bringing a different Serral to this series. Like, we've talked about it a lot. They're both bringing different flavors of stuff. But Yeah, the fact that they're both going at it on all the big macro maps as well, while doing a lot of this crazy stuff, it's... Yeah, when I think of doing crazy stuff, I think of, do crazy stuff on Golden Wall, do crazy stuff on Submarine and whatever. But what these guys are doing is, it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful.
It really is, and I mean it's far more unexpected on this type of map than on the other maps where you might be more waiting for your opponent to pull something off, right? So that's kind of really cool. Now this map and its features, the third base is one of the things that you have to decide which one to take, I suppose. But they are a little bit more open than on most maps, especially this third over here that map was looking at. So I'm curious to see what approach they take, because I feel like things like Roach, Hydra, and eventual Lurker Viper transitions are really good on this map because of how open some of these spaces are. So Roaches and Hydra type compositions tend to thrive on those as opposed to say Lings. So yeah, let's see what the map brings, I suppose.
Yeah, because like some of the background knowledge I have of these two players in particular, Reynor, he obviously loves going mutas at the best of times. He loves going Lings and whatever. That's kind of his trademark unit. And he knows that Serral also hates mutas above all else. But when you are playing against a Serral that is obviously coming in prepared to the series, I think Reynor's probably a little bit shook up. Like, oh, I can't just do what I've been doing. And, you know, that muta switch that we talked about was super duper cool. I feel that Serral's more honed in on the fact that these switches, these crazy switches, are absolutely a possibility, more a possibility when he goes up against Reynor in general. Oh, yeah. So it's, again, it's just very nice to see these players absolutely playing the player. Serral? He's making a lot of Lings here, Cats.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a lot of Lings. He is going to be looking to contest this base. However, there is a Baneling Nest on the side of Reynor already. 4 Lings in production for him. And yeah, I completely agree with everything you were saying, Ben. It's super exciting to see this too, really. It's just a treat. Okay. So let's see what happens with this attack. Serral is leading 2-1 and looking to close this game a little bit early, perhaps. At least he's looking for a third. So let's see what he can manage here. 12 Lings now being produced for Reynor.
I love this. He's attacking the hatchery with most of his units while just chasing with just enough Lings to win the fight, rather than chasing with everything. So that was nice micro, but nicely handled by Reynor. Just got the Banelings out in time. But Serral, he's getting a Roach War and he's getting that +1 carapace. They're both getting +1 carapace. If I was a Zerg trying to learn from these guys, I'd be like, so what upgrade do I actually get? Because they've so far in this series, they've gone melee first, range first, carapace first. So if you can tell us, like, what are the benefits from going carapace first here if you're Serral?
Well, I think carapace is the more well-rounded upgrade. It's gonna help the Roaches and it's gonna help the Lings, and especially it's gonna help if the game kind of extends on the early and mid-game portions of it. Also, Serral is not going for a Baneling Nest this game. He transitions straight into the Roaches, so there's a cut of expenditures there. And that is where the Lings with Carapace will also thrive against Lings and Banelings, right? Because it'll take 1 extra shot for those Banelings to kill the Zerglings with Carapace.
One really cool thing here that, you know, they've been showing. So Serral kind of showed that he's moving out with a lot of Roaches, then made like 9 drones at once. And Reynor, kind of unfazed, was just like, you're not going to attack me. Like, that was way too obvious, and droned up himself. Oh, wow. Now he's roaching up as a response. But looking at this harvester count and stuff, like, they're both growing at very similar rates, except Reynor's slightly ahead economically. But Reynor's absolutely shadowboxing him in every regard. So I feel that Reynor's got very good read on this game and what Serral's doing.
I mean, Reynor, Serral is going to attack onto a Reynor that is planning a slightly later attack. That is usually the dream for the defender. I think if Reynor defends this, he will be in a position way too good for Serral to recover from. He's already making a spine. He has an extra hatchery. So again, if he defends this, I think he can just cross the map potentially and win the game right there and then. So Serral is putting a lot of chips on this attack. Let's see how it goes.
Oh, focusing the Banelings though. So will he be able to get that? He does get it. So now the Lings can actually do damage. But the Miles, that was actually landed really well on those Roaches and Lings. And Serral, he's fighting with a pretty decent army, both with 4 Ravagers. That's obviously the magic number here, but Reynor, he has a better economy. He has another macro hatch in his base as well, so he can actually whip out way more units than Serral. And Serral, he's like, well, damn, that didn't go the best for me. I'm going to go home, get a lair, get +1 ranged, and we'll turn this into a macro game from here on. But Reynor, he's just making a lot of battle units right now, Cats.
Yeah, because Reynor hasn't made a lair. Instead of making the lair, he made the extra hatchery. That's the investment that he made. That's why I was going, oh wow, Mapu pointed to it very early on because it's such an uncharacteristic hatchery, right? So this is why I think that Reynor pretty much has to cross the map sometime soon and look for a kill on Serral while he is being greedy and after his attack has failed. Instead, though, Reynor seems to have different plans and he is taking another base. This is, I'm checking and I'm looking at the hatchery. Okay, finally, a lair gets started. And this is a little bit strange how late that is without an attack first, you know?
It certainly is. Oh, he was gunning for that hatchery. Is he going to get the hatchery? That would actually be quite a big deal, slowing down the income quite a bit. And I mean, wow, that's nice by Serral. That slows things down a lot. By the way, in Serral's head... Yeah. In Serral's head, he's probably thinking that that was one of the 3 hatches, so if there was a big all-in coming, like, it slows it down considerably, but Reynor with that extra macro hatch, it doesn't really affect that, right?
Yeah, not so much, but even, I mean, if you think about it, right, if Serral thought that this was an all-in, sacrificing his army of Lings to kill a hatchery is probably not that worth it, because if Reynor just crosses the map after, and that's exactly what he's doing, he's looking for the win right now. He does have a ton of units, a huge surround with all of the surging. It looks like Reynor is pushing through. He has, I think, barely enough with the 8-minute lair or 7-minute lair or whatever that was. He is still pushing on forth onto Serral, and the Ling reinforcements are still coming, 30 on the way. Roaches are being produced for Serral. There's a spine being made somewhere. I'm not sure if he's gonna be able to hold this.
The supplies are so close though, Cats, and 103 supply against 108 of Reynor, and you know, is it actually happening? You can't overextend though. Oh. Serral actually with a slight supply lead. Wait, 108 to 108, and Reynor behind all this, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna make a spire, mate. We're going for it.
And he has not remade his other hatchery, by the way, but that does put them on even bases at 3. Did he try to remake it and it got stopped from that drone or something? I'm not sure.
Eventually, I mean, it's weird to see an idle drone sat next to where he's using another drone to make the hatchery. So Reynor is getting the spire. He's also started his +2 a little bit faster than Serral did, but this game, it's very close now. And what a crazy start to a game, man.
Absolutely insane. I mean, Reynor had such a strong position, though, after holding the attack of Serral. Being 10 workers up, that is when Serral starts droning up, and that is when Serral goes for the lair. I really think that after holding, if Reynor just pushes on the gas pedal and makes all units from his, at that point, 4 hatcheries, I don't see how Serral holds, right? He was already behind and then being greedy. Like, it's one of the worst things that can happen to you as a player if you're planning an attack that hits against your opponent planning a slightly later attack, because then, you know, then they just have just enough to defend and a much better economy.
Yeah, it's one of the worst feelings in the world. They have a better economy and they have more than you, and
exactly,
it's just not a pleasant position to be in. So Reynor is a little bit supply blocked here. Okay. So I was kind of wondering, is he going to go into super duper heavy mutas from here on out? Because Serral, he's spotted it. He's actually making spore crawlers. He's also transitioning into hydralisks. He is behind supply at the moment, and you know, he seems very happy with just being on 3 bases. Do you see this turning into a bit of just a 3-base big attack by him?
I could see it happening. We saw something similar in the last game that these two played each other before the series, but it did not go well for Serral, who moved out with Hydras and no real backbone to the army, like no lurkers to deal with the Banelings or infestors to deal with the Banelings slash mutas, right? So he has to be really careful with doing something like that. With that said, Reynor this time around doesn't even have the Baneling speed, and I think Serral could be aware of that. So
these Lings, they do quite a bit of damage. Takes out a couple of Hydras. Keeping that Hydra count low is a pretty big deal for Reynor, given that they are to deal with the mutas. But the mutas, he has stopped. He stopped at 6, so he has forced enough static. And
this is very strong, though, of an attack. Oh,
it is, but he doesn't really have that many Ravages.
Yeah, so I love what Serral is doing right now. He's gonna look for the more open position where the Hydras are gonna be able to shoot. The Ravagers are really gonna thrive in those little chokes. So I really, really would like Serral to not try to push into one of those chokes. Okay, he's breaking the rocks now to make more room where all the units can be spread out, and those piles are a little bit less effective rather.
Yeah, because like the less moving being done, the better for Serral. These Hydras pump out a lot of damage, but big piles do land by Reynor. The supplies are very, very close. The Muta's coming in, dealing with the Hydras on just one side. I mean, this is one of the bad things with splitting off, I suppose. Like, the Mutas can section off units, and Reynor, he's just got way too much, and I think Serral knows it, and GG. 2-2, the series is tied, and we're going to a final map between these guys.
Whew. Well, that was very impressive on the side of Serral. I'm not surprised that we're going into a game 5. It seems like we always go into a game 5. They are so very closely matched, but I do feel like Serral is running hot. I mean, he had an attack at such a great disadvantage, and then I feel like he's somewhat stabilized, and I really thought the game was gonna be over much sooner. So we're gonna go to a quick break, and then when we get back, the resolution of this amazing semifinals, I guess you could call it, or losers bracket finals. Cool. And we are back with the final day of this amazing DreamHack Masters, and we are in the final game of this incredible series between perhaps the best two Zergs in the world. At least in my opinion, that's That is true. Some people will say rogue. Yeah. What do you think, Ben?
Actually, I feel this, and I've felt this for a little bit of time. I feel that if these guys do go up against Rogue, because I think Serral has a super winning record against Rogue in general, but I think Reynor's now of that caliber where the only guy I've ever seen stomp Reynor actually was Dark at BlizzCon, but I don't know. I think Reynor seemed very out of sorts there. Also, you got to say Reynor has evolved since then.
Oh yeah, a whole lot. And I mean, Dark was also at his peak there. I think he was on quite the hot streak himself. Regardless, this next map, guys, it's gonna be amazing. It's one of my absolute favorites, so I am super excited to see what it brings. It's gonna be Submarine, Ben, and we are loading in right now.
Yeah, you were talking about your favorite maps and stuff, Cats. And Submarine, this is short, this is dicey. I know if Pig was here, it'd be like, mate, it's like a knife fight in a phone booth and all that jazz. But anyhow, spawning over in the bottom right-hand side, play for Team Ents, it is Serral.
And in the top left-hand side, the man that I wish would fight Serral forever, it is Reynor.
Let's be real. Like, Terran, Protoss, or Zerg, these two duking it out. This is what you want to see, right? Like, they are absolutely two of the best foreigners of all time. And what a funny thing for us as viewers. Like, this game has been absolutely dominated by Koreans for so long, and we're living in a world where these are two Europeans. One's like a 17-year-old kid from Italy, the other one of the greatest of all time from Finland, and they are two of the greatest that we've ever seen. And oh mate, it's so good to see these guys duke it out in the rivalry that's really forming between them, because they never disappoint when going up against one another.
They really don't. Last time around, by the way, Reynor opted to go for a 12 pull on this map, and Serral, somewhat unfazed, is gonna go for the hatch first again. He did hold very comfortably last time, and what you're saying, Ben, hits me in the feels so hard, because I have been playing StarCraft for something like close to 20 years, and you know, following the competitive scene for something like 17 years or something like that. So when you have a scene dominated by Koreans for 17 years, and you're kind of like a tiny part of the rebel resistance of some sorts that has some semblance of a dream to, you know, take a game from a Korean here and there. When Serral won BlizzCon, oh my god, I don't know if he was crying more or me, because it was just so many emotions coming to the arena, and how it was full, but most importantly for me, just the fact that a foreigner finally won, you know, the most prestigious tournament out there was just, it was so much.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Like, I think I got asked the other day, like, who is the one player that has been like the most influential in StarCraft? And it's got to be Serral, right? Like, absolutely, by far and away. If you play other games and it's like, oh, who's the best StarCraft guy? And it's like, is it Korean? Like, people don't necessarily say that anymore. They'll be like, oh, it's that Finnish guy. And it's like, oh, like, it just holds so much weight behind it. Just to talk a little bit about the game. So you talked about how Reynor 12 pulled him on this map last time. Serral did opt for an earlier pull than normal. He did a kind of cut one drone here even. So his gas was normal timing, but his pull was much, much quicker. Like, it was about 6 seconds faster than Reynor. So I don't know whether that was Reynor being super, or rather Serral being super early with it, or Reynor being a bit more greedy by getting out another drone and stuff. But that was maybe just a slight build deviation by him to counter that kind of stuff.
No, I imagine it was. That's what I thought I saw, but then I checked the gases and they were even. So I was like, no, it must have been something else. But I think you're completely right. Yeah. So yeah, that's probably what it was. A small adaptation on the side of Serral. Now the action is gonna start. However, both players going for the Baning Nest. So like Pig would say, we might have a little bit of a night fight in the phone booth.
You know, when
like
Pig first said it, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so descriptive in every way. Like, yeah, say no more, my friend. So both of them, they're doing a lot of the same stuff behind this. So the Lings, you be aggressive to be defensive. You drone up behind it. Serral is taking the defensive posture here. But this is where it gets very dicey with the Baneling and the micro. Nice focus fire by Serral, but also just nice micro by both and not wasting any of their units.
Yeah, and it's so difficult to keep track because it's actually Reynor that takes the drone lead during that, but Serral has a little bit more of an investment in his wall off a little bit earlier. So so the game kind of evens out. It's just about the position of those units. They have pretty much mirrored themselves. But like you said, Reynor taking a little bit more of an aggressive stance. It's sometimes a little bit easier to be the aggressor when going Link Bane because you're also having to think about and defend your drone line and not just your your Link Bane.
I think one thing that also is really when I think about ZVZ and when I was going up the ladder myself with it, like I was training a bit. I'm nowhere near these guys, but whenever I was doing the attacking with Ling Bane, say if I lost the fight, it didn't mean that I immediately lost the game because by the time they run across the map, I can potentially have lings, like new lings coming out. Whereas when you're defending, there's so much tension, so much pressure because if you lose the fight, boom, all your drones are under threat immediately. So that was very nice, cool, calm, and calculated by Serral, being the one to defend so calmly. And they're both just droning up like madmen. They're both scouting very diligently. Like this isn't blind droning up. They're both constantly sending lings here, there, and everywhere just to find out exactly what the opponent's doing.
Yeah, and I mean, this map is one of those maps where that doesn't apply as much, where if you are the defender and you take a very favorable engagement, crossing the map and capitalizing on it is a very, very realistic prospect, I suppose. Roaches are going to kind of be king on this map for the most part, but as I say that, it's once again Reynor dropping the Spire on the shortest map in the map pool. This is not something that I personally ever like to do, just because I like to play the map as much as possible, and I feel like Roaches are so strong on this map. Queens are very strong on this map because they can actually cross it.
Cats, sorry to interrupt you. I think this might be Serral super duper playing like 5D chess here. So he's got that Overlord drop ready. He scouts the Spire. I think he knew automatically that Reynor was going for a Spire and he's going to drop Queens on the other side of the map. Oh no, okay. Screw that. He's actually just going for a Roach drop here, but still, it was really cool.
Yeah, I think if he had been making more Queens, you would have been spot on, and it wouldn't be a bad idea because Queens are great on this map. So I think that could very well be used. Instead, it's going to be the Roaches, and I'm not sure how much I like that. Serral has spotted the Spire, so his response is the Infestation Pit. He is going to be taking up very quickly, similarly to what we saw Reynor do, and try to secure himself a 4th base. So the game plan for Serral here is stabilize on 4 bases, defend 4 bases, and get to that ultimate army composition, probably with lurkers and the likes, but maybe even starting with something like Infestors. It is a choky map, and Mutas are inbound.
It's going to be tough, because I never like seeing the guy that's not going Mutas be behind in drones and army supply and stuff when they're the one going for Roaches. And like then you have to commit so much to the spores, which, you know, that's drones being converted. And Reynor, if we look at the map, he has so much vision. This is nice by Serral, though, just slowing down the economy, slowing down the gas income especially.
Yeah, this is great. But yeah, it's what you're saying, Ben. It's Reynor cutting the corners and getting away with most of it, in spite of the fact that Serral spotted it. And I was talking about this drop. I never really liked it, Ben. I would have liked that Overlord drop to be with the Queens. But the problem was, I think the decision to use the Overlord for drop was made before he spotted the Spire. So maybe he felt like he had to commit to it to some degree because, you know, you have an Overlord with the ability to drop stuff.
I'm getting a little bit scared for Serral here. Like, these upgrades, they're a little bit away for both of them, obviously. But Reynor's posturing very aggressively, and that is a lot of Ravagers being morphed in here. And Serral, he's getting Infestors and stuff. The Infestors could be huge, though.
Remember, there's still the Corrosive Vials. This is so amazing because Corrosive Vials and Infestors can still do a great deal of damage because they will hold most of the army in place. It makes it so difficult to split. But as I say that, Reynor still finds a way to somewhat split the Mutas on top of the Roaches as they realize that the Queens were defending against the Ling Bane. But now it's Serral on the chase as he has found an opening and is now transitioning also into a hive confidently as he pushes Reynor back.
Like, Reynor's still maxed out, though, and, like, he's just accumulating a bank while this is going on. He's doing nice moves with the Mutas, just dealing damage here, there, and everywhere. And Serral, he is behind in workers at the moment. He has better map control. He's the one being aggressive. And what I talked about earlier, if Reynor wins a fight with Serral defending, he wins the game automatically.
And these Infestors are out of commission right now. And like you said, I mean, it's going to be Reynor if he realizes that he has the economic lead. And I think he does. He's even taking a fifth. He's going to be the one looking to trade over and over. He's found himself a decent position down this ramp, but a great concave from Serral to answer will push him back once again. Again, it's going to be Reynor looking for these openings.
It certainly is. Like, Serral's got good free spaces, so he can move very quickly. That also means that Reynor, if he gets into an aggressive position, he can move very quickly. I do worry about this, though, as Mapu's showing us Drilling Claws, or rather not Drilling Claws, Tunneling Claws is on the way there. Oh.
Yeah, that is a very good way to trade effectively. There's only, I think, one Overseer on the side of Serral, and it has mostly been with his army, so no doubt Reynor is taking note of this. The Infestors trying to hide themselves and how much energy they have, but they now have enough energy for a Fungal. However, only 2 Corrosive Vials are available. But the army of Reynor is still rather fickle, especially seeing as those Ravagers are very quick to fall. So if Serral can find the Fungals here, he could clear out the army of Reynor, and he will find the first Fungal. And it's Serral who is going to take an amazing engagement here.
That was amazing, Cats. And you might be thinking, like, was it that amazing, though? Reynor's still 200 supply. He did just make about 30-ish Roaches all over again. These Mutas, they've been really darn useful, just keeping Serral's army low and at home and keeping the Hydra count low as well. Reynor, he can't get stuck, though. He is expanding like a madman, but I don't see any tech up to like Idolus or Lurk and stuff. And he just revealed Tunneling Claws as well to Serral there.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a problem. Those Infestors just were so great because Serral was hiding them as best as he could until they had the energy. Now Reynor pushing into a concave of Hydras. Drones might have to be pulled if Serral wants to do a little bit more damage to this army. The drones are still a decent buffer to those Hydras. Instead, it's the rest of the army that will come and try to flank, but the army of Reynor is all together and is gonna find small clumps of Serral.
Oh, I think this is it. I think Serral is just falling apart here. There's so much Reynor, so good maneuvering by him around, and Serral taps out. Reynor moves on to the grand final. Look how happy he is